Google became the most powerful company ever by helping people find answers. And then a tiny search engine attacked the one thing Google didn't know it could lose: trust. And its name was DuckDuckGo. Now be honest with me, have you ever typed something into Google you'd rather no one else ever saw? Or maybe you're a little bit fed up with the AI summaries, the images that come after the searches, or maybe just search results that were actually useful. If so, this story is going to be very interesting to you. And in the age we live in now, it actually made this type of story you need to actually hear or be reminded of. If you were looking for a website, a topic, pretty much anything, you basically use Google. And Google wasn't just competing in the search, it was the search. If you needed anything online, you probably went there without even thinking. And even Google's founders have admitted in this day and age, they actually couldn't probably do it again. If they couldn't, how was anyone else actually supposed to compete? Once a company had that type of monopoly, it usually meant the story was ending there because competitors would launch, burn cash, and disappear. So when DuckDuckGo launched in 2008, nobody really cared. The name sounded odd, very odd. And it had a tiny team, a tiny budget, and it was completely self-funded by the founder. And nothing about it actually said, hey, we're a future threat to Google. And this is where the secret kind of comes in a little bit, because they weren't actually trying to out-Google Google. They were basically playing a different game by different rules. Google's product was great. That wasn't the issue. The opening was the business model around it, because every single search that Google had taught Google something. What people wanted, what worried them, what might they buy next. That data actually improved ads, and ads made money, and money funded more products, and more products made Google even stronger. And it was an insanely effective machine. But it relied on something most users had barely thought about: their data. And for years, we all accepted the trade. Free email, free maps, free search. And in return, Google learned about you. Simple enough, right? Here's the thing. People did start to change how they think about privacy. People became suspicious, more aware of tracking, less comfortable with these things called data collections. And privacy stopped becoming a niche topic and started becoming a little bit more mainstream, until a shockwave came through. And its name was Edward Snowden. So just imagine for a moment, going from one day with complete confidence that your search result history was private, to the next day, where the world could potentially see everything you've ever typed into the search bar. Suddenly, millions of people asked the question they mostly ignored: who sees what I do online? And that was the moment DuckDuckGo had actually been waiting for. Because while Google needed explanation and a very long privacy statement that no one actually ever read, DuckDuckGo just needed, "We do not track your searches." And the message landed instantly. No jargon, no setup, no effort. So people tried it. And at first, it was only a trickle. Then journalists started covering it. That brought in more users. Browsers began adding it as an option, which made switching easier. Suddenly the word spread there was finally a real alternative. And little by little, something surprising happened. DuckDuckGo stopped looking like a joke. And that's when they stopped being a quirky little startup story and started becoming a real threat to Google. Now, did DuckDuckGo actually destroy Google? No. Google remained enormously successful. People were used to using Google. People are creatures of habit, and habits are powerful. Google's basically pre-installed in everything everywhere, which basically helps quite a lot too. But the market share wasn't the whole point. DuckDuckGo actually proved to its users that if there was a reason strong enough, users would move. And the reason today could actually be AI. Because DuckDuckGo does actually have a no AI search option that can actually be used as a search. Basically doesn't come up with any AI summaries or any AI images, and actually seems to be very popular with its current user base. And it has built millions of loyal users, and it has processed billions of searches, and it forced privacy into the mainstream conversation around the search. And even Google has now had to pay attention to how they talk about user data. And that's a very big deal, even without winning. Now, most companies go after a market leader the wrong way. They try to be bigger, faster, cheaper, louder. And that usually fails. DuckDuckGo, though, chose to do something smarter. It found a place that Google had become comfortable, and it challenged that instead. Because the best way to fight a giant usually isn't by beating their strengths, it's by exposing what success has made them ignore. And think about this. If Google disappeared tomorrow, what would you use to search? Do you even know?